So I came up with all this information. I put them in my book, wrote them as it was going. Remember, I told you that I started with the magnitude, then I found the time. There's nothing to do with the location. I didn't know where on earth it's going to happen. But I came up with the date. The date was somehow around the May 20th of 2012. So I published my book as an ebook. I put it on a website. I created a website. I did that one. Everything was ready, and I was waiting. I was waiting that to happen. What I was hoping, it happens somewhere that doesn't cause any damages, doesn't cause any fatalities, nobody dies, nobody gets hurt. And I was hoping that maybe somewhere in the middle of the ocean, I don't know, a mountain, somewhere that there was no one over there to get hurt. But I was waiting for that to happen. And I didn't know if it's going to be one big earthquake or a swarm of smaller earthquakes in one location. Boom, 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 boom. I don't know. So I was waiting. And I remember that day it was a party. You know, we were the Persian in Henderson. We have some nice families, beautiful families, very respectful, very polite. So we had a party, and at that night, my two friends, they announced all that my friends that I wrote a book, and that's the prediction is tomorrow morning. And everybody actually said congratulations to me. They were living, and somebody told me that, hey, Shahrokh, a very big earthquake happened in Europe. I was aware of that, but I didn't know that's so big. So I said, oh, so it's coming. I got so excited. So we took pictures and all those things, and then I went home. I couldn't sleep. I looked at it. I went online. I saw, oh my God, it was in Europe, a very bad earthquake. Unfortunately, many damages, many people got hurt. And but I was trying to find out the location. Maybe that is what I was predicting. I looked at the maps. It didn't show that it's related much. Then I said, the energy was high, the time is close, but the location was not in the place that I was predicting in my mind. But I didn't wrote it that. It was not in my book, but I already came up with that. I didn't have time to fit that section into my book, to write it, make it clean, all those things. So I was waiting. I couldn't sleep that night. I couldn't sleep. Now, in 2012, we have more advanced technology, we have more advanced monitoring systems and to collect data, so it was much more detailed, much more reliable information. Now, what I found in the location is very interesting. When I put Google Earth and I put all these dots, I noticed that they're almost in one line. Isn't that interesting? It could be anywhere. These 7 earthquakes, except one of them, 6 of them were in one line. Almost exactly on one line, almost. It starts from Haiti and goes all the way to Japan. It crosses all the United States. These 7 ones were not in Europe, were not in Asia, were not in Australia. It was just this area, from Japan all the way to Haiti. So I found that they're almost in one line. But there's one very important thing that I found. There is an eclipse happening in that time. Guess what? It was May 20th. It was so interesting for me that this eclipse is happening, and the area, the territory, was almost the same territory as these 7 earthquakes. So it made me much more confident of what I'm doing. It proved to me that yes, the moon is connected with these earthquakes. The magnitude should be high, and the area should be among this area. It was so interesting. That was a proof that the moon is somehow correlated. The sun is correlated, and the moon and the sun together are also correlated with the earth. It looks like a triangle. It was so interesting for me. So I did continue my research much more seriously. The other thing that I found is that when I put the dust, the distances between them are almost equal. Some of them, like about 1,000 miles. 1,000 miles. And there's a big gap between one earthquake to another one, the biggest. That, if I divide to 3 or 4, there's going to be 1,000 miles each. So earthquakes happen in specific locations, and there's a gap here because I only have 7 earthquakes. Maybe if I have more earthquakes I found will happen and fill those gaps, fill those places. So I came up with this, that the specific spots that the earthquake happens in this system, in this pattern. There might be more patterns. There might be more earthquakes happening on Earth that they follow different patterns. But this chain of 7 earthquakes, they have a specific pattern which occurs on those specific locations. So when you draw a line on Earth, and any line you draw, it can be an arc on the globe. And this arc has a center. So this line, when you draw and you connect all these earthquakes, except the number 4, which was in New Zealand down, if you draw them, it looks like they're segmented, and their center of this line, if you draw a circle, is somewhere near the North Pole. I found that if you put that dot over there, and you draw a circle all around the Earth to connect all these earthquakes, you can see one line from Haiti all the way to Japan, and several of those earthquakes are happening on this line. Amazingly, this was the line that the eclipse was passing through. It started from there all the way to here, on that line. So, this area that the earthquakes, 7 of them were there, was also the path of the eclipse. There's one interesting thing that connects this research to the research that I've done before, which is the Bermuda Triangle and the Dragon's Triangle. I compared Bermuda Triangle and Dragon's Triangle together to see if I have any commonalities figured out from these two. And that was in my book that has been copyrighted in 2009 or 2010, I think I did that. I never published that. In that book, I showed these 2 triangles and I talked about it. Now, in this research, I refer to that book. The area of Dragon's Triangle, it looks like a shape that starts from Tokyo, goes all the way down to Guam, and turns back to Taiwan, goes back to Tokyo, up in Japan. That triangle over there looks like a triangle shape. The interesting thing is that these earthquakes, this earthquake line passes in the northern side of this Dragon's Triangle. Also, the eclipse path is from that northern side of that Dragon's Triangle, from that side. From this side of the world, which we have the Bermuda Triangle, the earthquake line goes under the Bermuda Triangle. Also, the eclipse line goes under the Bermuda Triangle. So somehow, this event, this earthquakes chain and this eclipse, both of them are connected to the Bermuda Triangle and Dragon's Triangle. So it was so interesting for me in that time. It was so amazing that all these things are connected somehow to each other. It's nothing. You cannot find these things in any books. I couldn't find it. And not in any language. I tried to look at it from different languages. I couldn't find it. I tried to speak with some of the professors, universities, other places. I communicated with them. I asked them questions. They didn't know about it. So I think I'm the first person, I'm the only person who looked at these things from this perspective, from this angle. Anyways, the images are in my book. I put them in my book. But whatever I want to say is that I was assured that the earthquake is going to happen, the 8th earthquake, which I call it the S-quake. It's going to happen in one of these spots, one of these places. But which one, I didn't know. So that's why I was waiting for it to happen. So I went to the websites and I tried to gather information as much as I can from like 1 week before the May of 20th and 1 week after May of 20th and May of 20th. All these areas I tried to look at it and I put them in the spreadsheet and I tried to look at them. I put the quantities of all those earthquakes that their magnitude were more than 5. We have a lot of earthquakes every day. So I looked at them. So when I went back to the websites, I put all the information from the earthquakes that happened like several days before May 20th and several days after May 20th, and it was a lot of earthquakes. So I started to minimize them, narrow them down. So I started looking at those ones that their magnitude is more than 5. When I looked at them, I noticed that the quantities of the earthquakes all around the world. So I noticed that in May 16th, we had only 2 big earthquakes, more than 5. So I put over there 2. Then I looked at May 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, 21, 22, 23, and I put the quantity of earthquakes that happened on the table. But then I noticed in May 20th, we have suddenly a lot of earthquakes happening in that 24 hours. While the other days, we have only 2, 3, 4. That tells me that the energy was high in that day. So I'm somehow correct about the energy. Then I came down, narrowed down to hours. Because my prediction was early in the morning. Like not very early in the morning, like about 7, 8, 9. That's what the graphs showed me. So amazingly, I found out that out of those 7 earthquakes, many of them happened in that area, in that time. So when I put all those information together, I created a table, I named it table 40. On table 40, it obviously shows in that day what time the earthquakes happened. So it was about 6:40 to 8:40. So in about 2 hours only, in 24 hours, in about 2 hours, it was just approximately the time that I came up with. In that 2 hours, we have a swarm of earthquakes instead of one earthquake, like the one that happened in Japan. Instead of one big earthquake, a swarm of smaller earthquakes. Then I went backward, I looked at the moon and the Jupiter and the sun's zenith points. It matched. Amazingly, they matched. So it was so interesting for me in that time. It was so amazing that all these things are connected somehow to each other. It's nothing. You cannot find these things in any books. I couldn't find it, and not in any language. I tried to look at it from different languages. I couldn't find it. I tried to speak with some of the actual professors, universities, other places. I communicated with them. I asked them questions. They didn't know about it. So I think I'm the first person. I'm the only person who looked at these things from this perspective, from this angle. information, more data to come up with more accurate actually patterns to make it much more reliable, my prediction to be much more reliable. So I'm so excited that people are following and they are showing their interest about the topics. My works are always ongoing. I'm always going to add to my website. I wrote those 2 ebooks already ready. People can easily go and download them. But other ones are coming. The ones about Bermuda Triangle, Dragon's Triangle, hurricanes, and earthquakes that I already talked about is going to come over there. And there are more coming in the future.